14 elims, victory route. 15 elims, victory route. I mean, there's tons of things we can see there.
That's right. Well, gentlemen, here we go. Game number 2. Have fun.
Thank you very much, Zeke. And we're hopping on board here with Mage right away over at the agency. Shy, what do you think of the agency as a solo drop?
Agency solo drop, I just think contested, because this is one of the most hot spots and asked for drops in the game for a lot of players that I'm pretty sure it's Midas's drum gun can't actually do or does more than every other gun available in the game. I think especially when you're going from box to box. You touched on the way Epic Whale uses it in end game. I'm talking about just mid game, especially in this format, to push boxes, to get damage done and down. It's one of the best items, and there's only one on the map. It's only available here. From what it looks like, though, I think Mage is uncontested getting this gun.
Yeah, when was the last time you saw a completely uncontested agency?
In solos? I don't think ever.
Just like actually zero. And just for those of you who are not aware, this is Mage, who is the Week 1 FMCS Squads winner, did not end up qualifying through for the actual grand final. So trying to get his little solo ticket here, will pick up that drum gun right away and is just going to push himself on down.
Yeah. I mean, he played really
I believe
well.
Week 1 FNCS duos, apologize.
Yeah. The one thing that he lacked, I think, was that consistency, right? That I was mentioning before, that every solo player needs to have. So I think this is going to be the journey for him to find exactly what makes this mode tick with a lot of players. And that's having pop-off game after pop-off game in a row. So that needs to be done. Holding second right now, I think, overall on the leaderboards when we checked in. So hopefully he'll continue that path all the way through to the end of just this round of open qualifiers. That being said, though, this game is taking a little bit longer to get started. 84 people still left alive, dwindling down with a few early game fights. That placement not handed out yet. A lot of these players are getting out of this game with 0 points.
Yeah, and it's really tough, particularly if you get stuck on 0 right away, because you see those huge numbers and you think, oh man, like, it's going to be so hard to catch up to those guys. But the reality of the situation is, one huge game, like, even if you're just able to get 4 elims one game, 4 elims in another game, all of a sudden you turn around, that's 32 points, and you've climbed up past a lot of other players. And something that people also need to not forget, and I know we've emphasized it a number of times, competitive Fortnite in Europe is freaking huge. There are a lot of them who are really, really, really good, and additionally, they don't care whether or not you want to play defensively or play for endgame. They will fly at you, and they will try and get their elimination points, and they will do everything possible. What that ends up meaning is that sometimes you'll see players able to string off these massive elimination games, but then also other times you'll see players like Mongrel not make it to the finals. Like Veggie and Mongrel not make it to the Duo FNCS Grand Finals. Like, there are ways you can get massive swings there in Europe because there are so many players and there are so many just like a level of aggression and different levels of talent that can take over, add the variability of Fortnite, and we see so many of these other guys able to challenge, contest, and it creates for some really interesting storylines, really interesting gameplay, and a little bit of animosity between the players at times.
Yeah, I mean, it's a region of pride, first and foremost, because it doesn't matter if it's your drop spot, your playstyle, you want to own it. I think that you were alluding to Benji and Mongrel. I think that's what ended up happening. Sweaty Sands, hard place to fight, especially against people like Nate and Alex. Now when it's all solos, these guys will be playing individually. So we'll see. Maybe there's a 4-way brawl out in these upcoming weeks. And opens, though, we'll see moments like this where D-Trix, a lot of people on the outside of the map. I think the second game I can confidently say it's a lot of third-party action, a lot of fights being cleaned up quickly with only one survivor, not much disengagement going on. Once again, we tune back in with Mage, though, kind of more central to the map, moving right in here, I believe, to Salty Springs. Not many people here either. Maybe another just solo contested spot. Finally, he'll see some action, though. I think he picked up 1 elim on his way here.
Yep, and he's opting to rock. Again, we talk about 4-weapon loadout here, looking to play aggressive. Interesting that he has the legendary silence AR as well as the mythic drum gun, but valuing that first shot accuracy coming out, hits the 333 tags. Know he has that player down to at least 101, follows up right away with an RPG tag, looking to continue pressuring forward, has the option to swap to that drum gun if he wants to swap through. There he goes, phasing on through, player trying to retreat desperately down into one of the Salty String basements, but Mage is having none of it. Look at the relentless, look at the piece control, already has the ramp behind him, but
that was a close one. I mean, He trades
So
a
that's the
bunch of
danger.
damage. Yeah.
Like, we talk about how strong spray weapons are. We talk about forcing in. We talk about the phasing through and the piece control and all that. But at the end of the day, if somebody is sitting there and 200 pumps you in the face, you're going back to the lobby. And Mage was almost on the wrong side of that. And you can see just the little differences it makes. If that weapon is 1 tier rarer, he's gone. He's out. If one more pellet hits, he's eliminated right there. Despite the fact he had control the entire time, that one shot could have been enough. And, I mean, that's the swings we talk about in solos. And it's like, all of a sudden, boom, you had uncontested agency, and you're out with 5 points in the game?
I mean, it's kind of like a mental battle as well, because showing that you have that gun early on, like even bringing out the mythic drum gun all the way down into that house, into that fight, showing it off early. We saw such a defensive play happen after that, but I was wondering, this player has to have something in his book, and had that purple pump shotgun at the end of the day, almost wrapped up that fight. As you said, if it was golden, it's all about what you show first, what you have in store second. When it's solos, even all the way to the final shot, there's always a chance that something crazy can happen. We never get to see the full story from both sides. Right now, once again, choosing not to actually get damage done immediately. I don't think Storm Surge is going to be a big thing that people have to care about, so we'll have opportunities like this where you can close in the distance. It'll happen, only 2 shots taken, but now we'll see Crew can actually get into this fight fast. Doesn't have to close the distance as much because he's waited for this player to come forward first. Although a lot of these builds will be full wood and be able to be taken out quickly, it'll make the positioning a lot more volatile. These players will have the chance to move out of boxes quick, but oh my god, gets right in. Doesn't even matter. The skill disparity too high between these two players. Cruon gets out of there fast, gets that pickup, and now controls the entire bridge and possible lake of Misty Meadows.
That was a really weird kind of counter edit and reset on the cone in his own box. I think he actually messed himself up there. It looked like he was trying to go for the huge shot, but he also had attack shotgun. So I think if he had just played defensively there, he might have had a better chance. But as you said, Kron picking that one up right there, repping the Mongrel clan over there, got the Grawl at the end of his name. We've been seeing. So for those of you who are unaware, there are some kind of idols in the community or trends that will end up going through. Not quite so sure, but you'll see a whole bunch of players whose names end in Graal. It's a shout out to Mongrel. You'll also see a lot of Fishies. You'll see a lot of RRs. Shout out to CRR out there as well. Like, you get them all over the place. I mean, they're joining the famous clans like the L2 and On 60 Hertz guys and really competing for the top.
There's a few more. There's like the Arunis, I think, to give homage to Saf. I think Epic in front of your name as well for Epic Whale. A bunch of different regions have a bunch of different names. I believe there's obviously some Middle East and Asia. I can't get off the top of my head. But right now we'll be watching W as well, which is some, everyone shares a few stories together.
Though, Shia, the one thing I am going to say, particularly with the return of official broadcast, as Mage just rips him apart there. That's why he carries the first shot accuracy gun. Wasn't even close. Gets a nice little refresh there. But with the return of the broadcast and the FNCS Invitational, and just with how prominent social media streaming and all that stuff is, please, if you are a talented young player, stick to your branding, stick to your own name. It is so incredibly important for building yourself up and having it out there. And not only does it, yes, I'll be a little selfish, it makes our jobs a little bit easier, but on top of that, you can see what Benji Fishy has been able to do in that regard. Like, being able to build that up and create an own name for yourself so it's recognizable to other people is one of the most important things about progressing yourself if you're looking to get involved in the competitive gaming scene. So I highly recommend people maybe rethink that one a little bit, or at least make sure we're able to tell who you are.
Yeah, I mean, I can give you an example as well, right? If Sundown was an up-and-coming top player and an idol, and his name was Sunfishy the whole time, he wouldn't have his own brand, right? He wants people to rep the Down clan, in a sense. So if you could have the option to be a fishy man yourself, start a whole trend, I think that's really cool. Make a brand of your own, just make sure it catches on, make sure it's appropriate. Right now, Mage looking to do nasty things in boxes, though. Once again, ending fight so quick. Did he even miss a shot there?
I mean, both whiffed their pumps. It was just a question of who followed up afterward. Mage doing it with, honestly, probably the most damage efficient weapon in the game that isn't a heavy sniper to the face. So well done from him there, making short work of that. And you can see, this is what we talked about. How Lermita was only able to put, I say only, score 45 points, but then we go back and we look right away at the leaderboard and we see in the top is 100 and something points. Those are those players who are that much better than the rest of the field, playing aggressively, and that's what you're going to see out of somebody who won an FNCS Duos week. Mage and Cast Street are very good, they're very aggressive, and when they're playing at their best of the best, they're going to be able to do things like this. Right now, 39 players remaining in Circle 2. Don't forget, this is full open. Anybody is able to play in it. So the skill disparity between somebody who won an FNCS week in one of the hardest regions and then literally anybody who can go in and queue up is going to be rather large. I would expect Mage to honestly run 99.9% of the people he interacts with today.
Yeah, I mean, I know we saw him land at the agency, but my man is acting like a shark, swimming in every single possible river he can for a speed boost, acting on any action he sees. He smells blood and he's out for it on every single one of these players. If anyone shoots at him, I feel sorry for that individual because he's ending these fights super fast. Right now you can see the other side, though, of the zone. A little bit more calmer. I think this is where Mage isn't. But still, 12-year-old Museo, hope you're actually 13, my friend, is going to be moving over and looking to have a hunt of his own. A mere 7 points, so not as aggressive, but on the back end of an AR beam. Whenever he takes it, it'll be huge. A lot of headshots there at the same time as a grappler to close the distance. This is Sky's loadout. That's very close. But the storm's coming, so this fight has to be super quick. And although not at the prowess of Mage, he's trying to end this fight, at least get a lot of control fast. It's going to be hard to react, but this person on the defense has added some builds of their own. Gets a shot off from the left. So Museo is actually caught off guard. Once again, going up with the stair replacement method. Gets the wall. Doesn't actually get the predict for a second time. Gets the box in, though, all the way around. Now it'll be a stair flip coming in. The SMG is not going to be enough. It is not a mythic drum gun. Even if you connect all the shots, there's room for attack to have a say. He gets that elimination out quick and now has the grappler to kind of catch up with the zone.
That was honestly that's a pretty weak spray right there. Granted, it was just the gray SMG, but opting into it, the Tack's going to put that one down pretty much every time. And Lucia rotating away. And again, we're just hopping back on board with Mage as he continues running forward. You can see 36 players left alive. But Mage, honestly, is barely heading towards the zone. You can see it almost every time. If he sees another player, he's running towards them. And you can't blame him. One, the Silence AR, the legendary Silence AR off the start, is going to be ripping people apart, and it also makes him have a little bit more time to get approachable. He has the rocket launcher to be able to force into builds, and then once he's inside the builds, he has his choice between the mythic drum gun as well as that epic pump shotgun. I mean, he's looking to full set. He's looking to get points. 7 elims already, up to 31 points.
Yeah, almost matching the amount of players that are in the lobby with the points right now, and my god. Like,
dude, he's just better. Like, that's not even, honestly, that's what it would look like. That's what it would look like if I had attempted to play against him. And I know for a fact the player he's playing against is infinitely better than me as well, but Mage is just on another level. And that's something we need, like, we were trying to talk about a little bit during the opening of the show, is there are a level of players who have qualified. Most Sharks have been taken out of this pool. However, particularly when you get to a region like Europe where there are a solid number of both solo and arguably duo players who weren't able to crack into the grand finals in squads and in trios simply because of how packed the region was there, which means you are still going to have a couple players. I think Diego GB is another one who hasn't qualified through and is playing today as well, who got 40th at the World Cup. So there's a lot of high-level players who are still going to be in here. And I mean, for some of these guys, it's going to be their first time seeing this kind of pressure and this kind of relentless gameplay, as Mage is still going forward and doing everything, using his entire kit, sees the player launch pad away, and is still pressuring down on them. He's just gonna follow him, Shio.
I mean, he's got the pressure out from everyone. This player not showing an ounce of defense whatsoever, just escapism 24/7, is gonna be a target for Mage. And I can probably count to 10 and see this fight just ending fast. He gets all the way in. 4 more seconds left. I think he's going to have the edits, have the ability to catch up on repositioning. That's one thing as well. Every time Mage goes for one of these walls, every time he gets it or gets a shot off, it causes the other player to reposition. When that happens, he has another opening to get another shot in, and him being so adept, knowing when these changes happen, he's on your head, whether it's with his gun or his own mind, and he ends that fight in a matter of seconds. This is going to be one of the biggest pop-off games I've seen Mage have, I think, in history.
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. Apparently, if you say it 3 times, Mage makes him go away. Nice little trick there from the Magician. And he's just going to keep going. You see here, he's looking for shots. He doesn't want to box up. He knows he's about to hit the next round of placement thresholds and continue pushing forward, but he honestly doesn't care. And this is what we talk about, particularly with the eliminations being weighted at 4 per point and with the skill disparity coming through here. He wants to capitalize on those. He wants to guarantee he's playing in that top 600 because, as we said at the top of the show, this is one of the players who you would keep an eye on and say, they could make that final lobby. They could make and be one of the top 100 in the regions. He's probably one of 3 or 4 who are playing in the European Open today who are worthy of that. So if you want to see kind of what a really good player looks like when he's going through, watch what Mage is doing here. Look at kind of the difference. And one thing you noted here is how well he moves with his opponent. The opponent is trying to disengage, but because of the disengage tools available in this season, generally you're always able to be followed. And Mage is just following and destroying and eliminating and saying, you can get out of my lobby. You can get out, and you, all right, bye.
Usually people have timing to carve out a position in zone, especially in the 4th one, waiting for that half and half to tick in, but Mage is literally carving things out with his loadout. From box to box, if he sees a box he doesn't like, he's there. He had the option to have 4 floppers, chose not to, just to have some medium range damage with this legendary Scar in his inventory. He has a launch pad he hasn't even used yet, but I assume he would just to get on a box at some point. I don't even think he's planning on staying here for too long here, Sundown. He's just looking to get out and back into another fight as fast as possible.
I was about to say, it looks like he's trying to set himself up to catch people on rotations, but the question is, at what point, if you're playing like this with Mage, do you drop that legendary AR and opt to pick up the floppers? Because he's not really shooting it anymore, right? He's just going box to box at this point. Like, when he was rotating through, like, sure, he was using that as part of his game plan. But now, with the amount of medium ammo he has for that drum gun, I'm not sure I really see kind of the use case for the legendary AR unless he swaps over to playing kind of more of a gatekeeping rifling style. Then, sure, I like it as having the option there. But if he's just going to keep flying at people and going full send, I expect him to go back and pick up the floppers.
Yeah, I mean, at one point in this server, like, especially when that 5th zone finally appears, you're not going to have the ability to actually play box-to-box too much without those consequences. It gets very hard to actually isolate out fights, which is what, although we're seeing him do very fast, is exactly what he's doing. He's getting these one-off instances where third parties don't really have that much of a say, because even if you are the best player in the lobby in the world, if there's another person just focusing you the whole time, it makes you have such a hard time even against the worst player in the lobby to finish out a fight. So maybe that's why he's keeping that legendary AR to switch things up, change gears to more so long-range eliminations. I don't think those gears will be changed anytime soon. Right now,
he pulled the zone and is now sprinting out of zone to push somebody on a supply drop.
I mean, hey, I think this is just his world right now. I don't think we can predict much other than he's going to be in every possible box that has even a slight advantage compared to anyone else in the server. And it's Museo that we saw have a fight earlier on, a little bit of struggles getting some walls against Mage. If that's the case, I think that I can say this fight might be over before this care package even touches one of these builds.
But the one thing to note is Emusio does have the high ground advantage, also has the grappler, is going to be able to get himself up, will get a launch pad out of this, as well as, honestly, his...
Nope.
Nope. Yep.
Nope.
Never mind. Yep. Never mind.
Nope. I'm telling you, we can't predict anything.
He should. So I didn't expect him to stay after popping it. I expected him to grab the launch pad and dip, but Mage wasn't going to give him that option. So very well done there. And now we see Mage opting to drop the drum gun. He has now dropped the drum gun for the Mythic AR. He's picking up Sky's loadout plus a pump and the rocket launcher, and he just drills it to the face. Mars, ta, easy. Well, that was easy for Mage. Swaps over to that AR. 2 tags going out, almost hitting the top 20. 61 points right now from Mage. The week 1 duos winner with Castery is a shark in the tiniest of ponds, just cleaning up on everyone in this first game of the Opens. Honestly, I wouldn't expect him to get challenged. If all this game, if at all this round, maybe in the later games, but he looks like he's playing some really good Fortnite today.
I mean, he can still do it if he chooses not to. 4 launch pads that he hasn't touched since the start of this game, mind you, as Sundown said 2, the first game, at 0 points. So 63 points all the way accrued in just one game. One of the highest ground positions, 14 eliminations overall. Now with Sky's loadout, a legendary RPG as well. With so many people around him, if you're not at 100 effective HP, I think your reign is over. We talked about people getting airdrops opened up on the lobby. Even if you're in a good position, if you're in zone, Mage is looking at you, and he's going to be at your door in a matter of seconds.
Also, one thing to note, we talk about first and second game. We mean that in terms of the broadcast. For those of you who don't know, this is fully open, which means there are multiple lobbies going on at once. And then as we move through the Invitational, there are still going to be multiple lobbies until we get down to the final week where it will be the top 100. So there is going to be a little bit of differences there. This could be Mage's first game. He could have maybe got a little bit start, or maybe we're just popping in because we wanted to see how he did this. Because right now, 16 elims, has full control of it, and he's done it by playing hyper-aggressive the entire time. And this is one of the strategies we wanted to talk about coming out of the first game. How strong can a mythic point be? If Mage... Oh no, he had the grappler as well. Good job to catch himself. I thought he was going to be able to flip over. Sorry, I get a little bit of vertigo every time because I'm definitely afraid of heights. But Mage able to get himself go up there, take the grappler over on the side and maintain his high ground, and also pull over to the correct edge of zone. So now everyone is going to be pushing into him on height with this mythic AR, with the legendary rocket launcher, epic shotgun, just raining shots down there though. Look at that! Nice little double coming out. 2 rockets back to back, and he can just rain down. Not sure if he's playing Fortnite or Unreal Tournament since rockets just flying from the top down, but Mage wants to clean it out, wants to make it a 100-point game here, Shao. He wants the 20 bomb, wants to get everything out of it. Can he make it happen, though? Grappler into the spray. Needs one more. Mage, 20 bomb on the stream. Do it. Second game back. I want to see it. Just do it. Punish the player. There's nothing left for him to do. On the low ground, RPG hits. It's Mage's world. We're just living in it. We talked about the Shark in the smallest of pawns. The Week 1 FNCS Duos winner is going to be able to close this out here in a second. There is not a chance this other player takes it away from him. Like, there's no way. Look at that. Mage takes it out. 20 bomb. 113 points. Has 4 weapons almost the entire game.